because they've chosen to have one skill. Now you might say, no, no, no. What about this child being organized? The child needs to be organized. I have children who will say, I can get a secretary when I'm older. Now you may not like that answer, and I'm not by any means saying don't teach him organizational skills. I'm telling you, reality in life is, in school we're expecting him to be good at everything. We're expecting everyone to be good at everything. In life, we don't have that expectation. Thus, remembering that is necessary. Remembering that as a parent, that it's necessary for her to go to 6 dance classes a week, because that's what she may be able to do easily, is necessary. I'm not saying let her all her studies suffer, but don't send her to 6 tuitions, which she hates, which is not getting her the marks, is making her unhappy, and yet you're not feeding that interest or affinity or love of hers. Because with any child, if you can find their affinity, if you can find what it is that they are attracted to without any reason, there'll be children who are sitting. I knew a child who would pick up bugs from the floor, and anytime you went out, he'd be standing with one bug in his hand and 6 children around him giving one professorial lecture on the bug. This is a kid who had a serious, we would call it a conduct disorder almost, in terms of how severe his behavioral problems were in school. And yet he had this part where he was teaching. He was so good that he was teaching. So one of the things we say to parents or even teachers who have students in their care who have learning disabilities is actually get the child to be an expert in something. Let it be whatever he likes. Now, sports typically is not the best, but if it's sport, let it be that. But let him become the resident expert in school on horses, or on art, or on insects, or on marine life. It doesn't matter. But actually you identify him as that when you find ways in your class to let that expertise shine from time to time. So it can be as big as give him a corner in the room where every week he's supposed to, this one corner of one board where he's supposed to put something new he learned about whatever his interest is there. It might be that he is supposed to maintain a scrapbook at home where every day or every week he's supposed to do some amount of reading or writing or research into this area, and he has to stick it all in one place. And he can come and get it to your classroom once a week to sign it, or he can get it, you can make it a parent-child activity where you're researching it together, whichever you prefer. What I'm saying is, that one academic strength will be easier to build. The child isn't reading, he'll read about sports. I had a child who came to me in grade 3 who said that, and this is about a year and a half ago, and he said, mom was like, he's going to take one look at you and walk out. Because he hates special educators. He says nobody helps him, and they all, are making him do reading, writing, and he hates it. So I said, what does he like? He likes sports. The first 10 sessions, every worksheet was related to a sport. Every worksheet. Now that takes some doing. But what I did was, comprehension, baseball. Poetry, centimeters on bicycles. Whatever it was, it had to be 10 sessions of sport. The kid decided, she's on my side. After that, I have not till date done one piece of sports work again. And he's working. He's in the center, he's one of those children, he's on his way out in terms of being mainstream, just because you took the time and energy to figure out what his interest was. And we said, no, your interest is important enough for us to do something about it. So actually for parents, I even say, keep a file of whatever he's interested in. Keep brochures. There'll be events in your city. There'll be brochures. There'll be a museum nearby. There'll be a horse for animals. There'll be a shelter or a place. There's always things you can do around it. Actually start shoveling that information in one place. And whenever he is free or whenever he needs a reward him with that. Okay, let me move forward from here. This point, anyone has any questions? I will be emailing you a lot of things. I will be emailing you this whole presentation to you, so don't worry about that. I'll also email a checklist of behaviors for identifying LD. This is one of those checklists online. And if you need any more information, send me an email and I'll send that off to you as well. Okay, yes. My name is Vidushi.
When you said that at a very small age, when the child or the teacher opens your eyes towards the fact that the child has a learning disability and the parent tries to be or is in denial, like I was, isn't there a chance that the child may bloom a little later, or as a mother,
Of course.
I feel that, maybe it's too early to put a stamp on the child that, okay, this is a learning disability. Maybe it's not. Maybe
Absolutely. So the law of the land says you cannot diagnose a learning disability before the age of 6. Some countries it's 7, some it's 8. Okay, you're absolutely right. Children in grade 1, for example, there's a huge variety in how they can read. There'll be children who are reading chapter books. There'll be children who can barely break up a 3-letter word. You have that amount of disparity. By the time they're in grade 4, there's a much more uniformity that exists in, say, that skill. So there's a developmental lag certainly that happens. Now, when we say early intervention is paramount, what we are not saying is this is a learning disability, let's call him a learning disability and start changing our expectations of him. What we are saying is be aware that there are particular parts of his behavior that are different from others. Actually work on it. So we are telling you actually to take the stance of vigilance rather than take the stance of, very often this is, parents take the stance of saying, now I need to say that he can't do anything. That's not where the diagnosis or the intervention is coming from. It's coming from a place, in fact, parents are very resistant to testing as well, because they say that will lead to labeling. And as I said, as it comes to grade 8, everyone wants a test. So it's something that you must be aware of yourself as well. What testing should do, good testing, is empower you. Testing should be about, it should tell you that the problem with my child is that while he is reading, he skips the smaller words. The testing should tell you that there is when he is hearing things, he is hearing them differently from how I am saying them. The testing must actually identify for you what's the little breakdown point, and then it must help the special educator or you remediate at that point.
But ma'am, just the concept of telling a child we are taking you for a testing, doesn't that shatter the confidence? They will immediately feel there's something wrong with me because I'm being tested.
Okay, let me change that situation to, if it was not a learning disability, let me change the situation to, it was a viral fever that he was having, a raging viral fever. Would you take him to a doctor? It's the same. What happens is, as I said, see, a parent's anxieties are about them, they're about who you are. Not to say they're not valid, as I said, they're completely valid. But you need to have actually the same sort of matter-of-fact way. I've noticed, I actually say this, I've noticed that you're finding writing difficult. I'm thinking we should get it looked at. What do you think? He'll tell you, am I that dumb? You take out any statistic on learning disabilities and pull it up and say, any learning disability means your IQ is average or above average. When you talk about below average IQs, we are talking about a different label, should you want to look at it like that. We're actually talking about slow learning, you're talking about mentally challenged learners, you're talking even about retardation in some cases. So the LD definitionally means your IQ is average or above. But you've got to see, the thing is, when I say this, I find that with a lot of parents, it's still reluctant because you're not willing to say it's the same as a medical sort of problem.
Not even the parents, it's the peer pressure also. They get scared that the other kids, what will they say?
The other kids don't know he's going to start with, correct? And the other kids, as I said, I'm going to a doctor. I'm going to Dr. Auntie. He doesn't need to know anything more than that.
Sometimes in school, like how the people at the LRC,
Yes.
sometimes it becomes difficult for the child. And especially in the 9th and 10th, when there is a choice of dropping maths and science, it's a stigma. Yeah, it's not but it's like, oh, that's a dumb class.
Absolutely.
It's happening.
No, absolutely. I'm not by any means contesting that stigmatization doesn't happen. Please, I'm not saying that at all. A stigma is often attached to learning disabilities. That's where the world is going wrong.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Now, having said that, let's look at the consequence of not doing it. Let's look at the consequence of not sending him for the remedial educator. Let's look at the consequence of not sending him towards testing. On one side, you have valid self-esteem fears, you have valid peer pressure fears, you have valid fears of a parent. Valid, all valid. On the other hand, you have life without testing. Tell me what it's like.
You don't know where he's going wrong.
Yes. Can you fix it?
You can't fix it if you don't know where he's
and it will become worse only as time passes. See, honestly, there's nothing, it's a brutal argument, but for me, it's the only argument. Because what are the consequences? I hear this so often, and I always tell parents, it is about you. It's about yours. If you talk to him regularly about your value system includes not just the academic achiever as important, but the artist is important, but the guy who tinkers with radios and cell phones in the corner is important, he'll start to think so too. Again, the world will be harsh in terms of friends will judge him, and friends judge you at this age as well. Friends will always judge. But if you had, what can we choose? If you had, as I said, if you had a viral infection which was raging and the doctor said get a test, you'd not think about it twice. A special educator or a teacher tells you get a test. He might need medication, panic. In India, especially medication, though, oh my God, the panic. I have a set of parents who've gone to Singapore. They went to Umeed, which is a perfectly valid, awesome organization doing great testing. They went there. They said you need medication, rejected it. School said you need medication, rejected it. Would talk to every expert. They were highly concerned, and that's why I'm not ever contesting the concern of parents. Highly concerned about what will happen, what will the testing do. And they finally went to Singapore and got an expert from there to say the same thing. Now they are in the process of trying to refute that. Now until they decide, the child will not get the medicine. Now medicine is not right for everyone. I'm not by any means suggesting go the US way where Ritalin is the answer for a lot of things. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to you there are case by case decisions. There are some children who need medication, they become different human beings. There are some children who absolutely don't need medication. But if you don't have the tests, the psychoeducational tests, you will not know. And again, the psychoeducational test has to be advised by somebody. Or you must feel strongly enough that kuch galat hai, I need to figure out why. And that's how it will empower you, and you must talk about it. I tell parents, talk about it, say it, announce it to the friend circle. Suddenly it's not a stigma because you broke it. The problem is you're having the thoughts in isolation. You're saying, "Are kya bolenge? She'll think he's not smart. Uski daughter is like this," and I don't even know. There are a whole bunch of thoughts that you'll have which I'm not privy to. I'm saying, go out there, open it up, and say, "Oh yeah, we realize he has a learning disability. We are getting him some help." What will they say? Everybody will keep quiet because you've embraced it. But however, that is the painful and individual journey of acceptance.